I am President of Colorado for YouTube, Joel Sains. And guess what? Tom Hotz and Vickie Ray are back. We're here to talk the time tunnel. We're here to talk the walls of Jericho, which is taken from the Bible. Uh, and they use verses from the Bible, if you will, in this episode. So, what did you guys think of the cool costume designs, huh?
I
Oh, I
actually
thought
like this one. I
that.
thought it was kind of Ten Commandments epic. Like, I actually thought they kept it really tight and it was definitive of like Hollywood doing their biblical movie kind of thing. I mean, they actually did a really good job with this one. I mean, I liked it. It was like watching one of their old King of Kings, renditions of the Bible from back in the 60s.
It's a very interesting trivial facts. Of course, you remember my liking for trivia. The actress who played Rahab or
Yeah.
Rahab,
Star
depending.
Trek, right?
No, you're thinking of the guy who played the priest. He was
Okay,
he
okay,
was
okay.
conscience of the king. He was Kodos the executioner.
Rahab,
Uh,
that was true in the Bible. She was the only one that didn't get killed.
that's right. So he was, yeah, he was Kodos the executioner, but the one that played Rahab had cancer, and 6 years later she was dead.
Myrna Fahey, that's who it was.
She died. She died at 40.
Oh,
Uh,
wait, she was frequently, I knew where I seen her now. It was Batman, 77 Sunset Strip, Bonanza, Hawaiian Eye, Perry Mason, and the man from Uncle.
hmm
She was a beautiful woman.
She's a beautiful woman. It was really a shame, and she was dead by the time she was 40. So only 6 years
Golly,
after she made the time
awful.
tunnel
I didn't know
episode.
that.
Yeah, and the guy who was the torturer in the dungeon.
Oh, Abraham Sofair, the
No,
city
no,
captain.
Abraham Sofer was the father.
Well, he was in
Abraham
Star
Sofer
Trek, though. He
was
was the one I was trying to remember was in Star Trek,
right, right. I'm talking about the guy who played the torturer in the dungeon
the
with the
torturer.
beard and with the bald head, and he was usually cooking up the instruments of torture and stuff like that, and he was torturing Doug. Well, he was a wrestler. He was a professional wrestler
That
from
John
the
Crawford.
30s to the 50s. This guy who was the torturer, and with the beard, long, bald headed with the beard. He was a professional wrestler, and then he went into TV, and he was the actual model for Mr. Clean. So
Oh, no shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're looking at
I could see where they'd get that.
Mr. Clean will clean your whole house and everything.
I
That's
remember
it.
those ads.
That's funny.
They were up to the shaking back cat. Shake and bake,
Yeah.
and I helped. Yeah.
So those are a couple of interesting trivia stuff. But all in all, I found the episode to be, Rhodes' Reason was there. He had played Colonel Travis in
Yeah.
the Alamo episode, and he did a pretty good job.
He did a good. He looked like something out of a Cecil B. DeMille film. That's why I thought it was kind of good. I mean, he did pretty good with this one compared to
Yeah,
his other historical.
yeah, no, he did an excellent job, and of course, Rhodes' Reason was into the Hercules epics in the late
Yeah.
50s and early 60s and stuff like that.
I
Um,
just love how they treat her like the way they did her, treating her like, $2 whore. It's just like, it's just
a
like, come
harlot,
on. I guess
a
she was a
harlot.
woman of ill repute in the Bible.
And well, they were, I mean, she made her living, she made her living quite ambitiously, you might say,
Demurely, yes.
with all the king's guards and stuff like that. But
I just
but
love though how they show up and they're just divine providence again. It's like, here I am. It's like, you're going to win because God says so. I was wondering if they were trying to insinuate them like the angels, maybe they're mistaken for angels, like, in Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah, but they didn't really go that way. I thought they were, though.
No, no, but they did. She was the only. In fact, she was the only one that was saved by Joshua and his men. But how do you like Tony became a biblical scholar and quoting from the Bible and
Yeah, Tony got into it.
Tony, yeah,
He was all
I thought
kinds of prophetic.
I thought Tony would have been a great rabbi, the way he
It
was.
sounds like.
Yeah,
Well, they're pretty educated anyway, though. They have a significant education, so
Well,
people weren't
probably,
hating on religion near as much back then as they do now. So
what were
well,
you gonna
probably,
say, Jewel?
I was gonna say, like, probably with from a fictional sense, with the loss of his dad, he probably leaned into his faith.
quite possibly.
Most people do. Like when they
He
lose
did
it,
look he looked very sincere in his role. I have to
yeah.
admit, he really, really was intense. I mean, it's not just sort of like when he was at the Alamo. He was really getting it in this episode.
This is really
Yeah.
true. And Abraham Sofair, who you mentioned earlier, Vicky, who played the blind father of Rahab. Uh, well, Abraham Sofair was in the Star Trek
Yeah.
episode Charlie X, and he was also in the Trojan Horse episode of the
Yes.
Time
Yeah.
Tunnel. He
I
was the
noticed he
builder.
recycles actors quite a bit.
He was the builder, but he has an excellent voice and he did a good job. It's that you grew to hate that servant who was
Oh,
basically
what a
out.
bitch.
Well,
She was awful. She was, I nobody likes a narc, okay? And this, especially when he says the was it shekels or silver or whatever. It's just like E.F. Hutton talks. People listen. She really was quite rancid. I mean, she
yeah,
didn't
she
even try to
was.
hide her, betrayal.
But I
She
thought the
deserved the house
episode was
falling
tight.
on.
I thought it was tight. It was obviously in the 60s, especially among especially among people who love the Old Testament. The Joshua story was a big hit, and Ellis St. Joseph had written it, and he used biblical references.
And they used
Uh,
their historical biblical framework as well respected in this, especially with the Israelite plan, how they marched around and then blew the trumpets and then the soldiers screamed because they kept right to it. I thought they did a good job. Obviously, they're not going to show multitudes and a cast of thousands, but they made it pretty, believable. But
Yeah.
remember, though, they were thinking about maybe they should intervene from present day to extract them or risk changing history because they were going to try to get Tony and Rahab. And that might have messed up a lot of
at the
stuff had
end,
that happened.
when
And then
Rahab
God,
says,
I think, messed up the time tunnel. Something happened
"Yeah,
to the time tunnel. The Lord had spoken.
Rahab wanted to get together with Tony at the end and says, so what are we going to do now? When will I see you?" And he says, "Always." Boom.
Yeah.
And then they're gone. And then they're gone. But I thought this, I would actually give this episode a 10. I didn't see anything, I didn't see anything wrong with it. Jewel, what do you think?
Yeah, man, somebody's getting tortured. I'm going to show up for it. So
Yeah.
I give this a 9.5. They did a really good job, and I think who was it, Tony or Doug, that was like really into the religion. But they did a good job. They convinced you that they knew the scripture.
Well, it sounded like I said, like Tony was really into it.
Yeah.
Darren was into it, I should say.
I liked the little
But what was the
Kimosh.
strange atmospheric phenomenon, the fall of the city's defenses? They did show the collapse of Jericho's wall as a supernatural tornado-like event. I wasn't
Oh,
really
that's right.
expecting the
Yeah,
tornado. I just assumed
and
when I was reading my Bible when I was a little girl, I just assumed the walls crumbled down, but not by a tornado. So that kind of threw me a bit.
while the tornado was just watching to make sure everything went right,
Well, it's probably
because
like
that
the
was the
pillar of
spirit of
fire in
God.
the desert that the Israelites were following.
And in the meantime, you had atheist Stan, who was going ahead and saying this tornado is just a centrifugal force, and this can't be happening. And we'll see if the walls came tumbling down.
She was
Well, the
an
walls
atheist in
did.
the beginning, wasn't she?
That's right. That's right. And I think the episode before, she was a lot different in terms of her
That's what cracks me up
spirituality.
about science. People are starting to realize now that science and the supernatural, or science and God, are almost inseparable in a lot of things now. They're starting to really, there's some really fascinating research going on right now. That's all I can say about it. Take forever, be another whole podcast. But I mean, there's some really cool stuff going on in the science world
Absolutely.
anyway.
Oh, absolutely. But
Here's some,
I like the Kimash. They had a little Kimash statue in the house.
Well, that didn't look like a Kimash, though. It looked like a Paimon or a Pazuzu, didn't it? I thought they had a Pazuzu statue.
Oh,
We all
from
know
The
who Pazuzu
Exorcist?
is.
That's funny. That's
What were you going to
funny.
say, Joel?
I was going to ask you guys, what's a historical event you wish they would have covered in the original show?
What do you mean in this particular episode?
Yeah, or not in this episode, in the entire first season.
In the entire first scene?
Yeah, no, this first season. Like,
Oh, the first season.
what's a historical event in the first season that they didn't cover that you wish they would have covered?
I don't know. I haven't seen them all yet.
I have
Did
one.
they do? Did they do civil? They did Civil War. They've done really just about everything so far. I mean, like for me, they haven't really left anything out yet. But for y'all, what did they? What are you thinking, Jewel? You obviously got something on your mind.
Well, as somebody who learned about it in history class, the sinking of the USS Indianapolis.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Which
That'd be
one?
a really good one.
Which one?
The sinking of the USS Indianapolis,
Hmm.
which has
Hmm.
been covered in films.
It's been
Stacy
covered in
Keach,
films, but
yeah,
not time travel, has it?
Stacy Keach did a film. Nicolas Cage did a film. So Stacy Keach is a little more accurate.
Was it a time travel film? No.
No time travel.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the tornado. Yeah, that would be a good one. I'd look that one up. That was an interesting story.
Yeah. And like that was
I think
to
there were a lot
learn.
of things that they could have covered, but basically they were
They had a second
constrained.
season.
I mean, they tried to go do the Lost in Space stuff, but which wasn't really
That
uh,
Lost in Space episode that was just an ass beating.
that was horrible. But they didn't. But they were really constrained on Earth events, and they did the French Revolution. They did
They've done all the
they
world
did the
wars, I'm
Cold
assuming.
War. They did World War II. I don't think they did World War One.
Didn't they
And
cover something in World War One a little bit?
the 2002 reboot to the time tunnel covered World War One. But no, not the original, not the
Have
original
you guys
series.
watched any of those new ones from 2000s?
The 2002,
Pilot?
they only did
I haven't
one
seen it.
pilot. the 2002, they only, well, I've seen all of these old time tunnel episodes. The 2002 pilot is available
On
uh,
Prime, I think.
on archives, and
Did it
that's
show
something.
promise at all?
What's that?
Did it show promise at all?
Did it show what at all?
Any promise? I mean, did it look like it would have been good?
I thought it did, but it was a little too close to Sliders. I don't want to get
Ah,
into it too much, because we might be covering that after the. It's up to Jewel, but we might cover that one episode after we've finished the regular run. But
that's
it was basically that history had been changed, and they had red light meant go and green light meant stop, and that was a
yellow means
steal
faster.
first. That was a steal from the first Sliders episode, and there were things that had been mixed up by people who stole the time tunnel and went back and tried to change things. And it was Tony was a woman in that show, and
Say
and
what?
Doug went back to try and fix things, and that reminded me of Quantum Leap in a way.
I
So
haven't seen any
it's not
Quantum
like
Leap.
it had anything novel to it. It really sounded it really felt like it was stealing from other shows, and I can understand why it didn't take the way it should have. But I also saw an interview with Lee Merriweather this past week where she talked about the fact that the when they were emoting in the time tunnel, they really weren't seeing what was going on in terms of what Tony and Doug were doing, except on rare occasions the director would shoot that in advance and then show it to them. But otherwise, she said they should have gotten an Oscar because here they are emoting and they don't even know what the hell Tony and Doug are doing. They're just going basically on what the script said. So it was a harder job for them, I think, than a lot of people realized.
Right.
But anyway, so you gave it a 9.5, Jewel. What about you, Vicky?
I give it a 10. I really enjoyed this one. I like that historical stuff. I like historical biblical crap, though. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if I know Charlton Heston's on in the 10, I'll put it on a rainy day every time because I think Yul Brynner is so hot as Ramses. I mean, he is the perfect Ramses. Nobody nailed it like Yul Brynner. He was just the perfect looking Egyptian for that show.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
with
didn't know that. Anne was it Anne? What's that name? Ann Baxter. And she played Nefertiri in that one.
Mm.
I didn't know. I didn't know. Well, see, Sesame the Mill and all of his like pre-code stuff. He was really sketch and tried to get away with as much as he could, and he tried so hard to get away with as much as he could with her clothing in the Ten Commandments that he had to keep going back and redoing it because they wouldn't let him show her that way. They had to finally because this is very sheer right here. You couldn't do that in the '60s.
That was funny.
Boobage was not a thing back then. But I didn't know that. I just found it. Sesame Mill was kind of a wild guy. He really was when you read about it. He was really unique.
It
But
was
no, I love this episode. It was great.
it was in general it was a pretty tight episode. You gave it a 9.5, Jewel. Why not a 10? What was missing?
nothing really. I just want it to be indifferent.
He's
What's
just
that?
being a turd.
Yeah, I'm just being a turd. I'm being indifferent.
Yeah.
It's really good. They do a great job and all. I mean, I love the choreography in is really good. The fight
Oh yeah.
sequences are really fluid. They're smooth. They're not clunky, which is
They
great. You
got they
want that?
got better with their fight scenes as they went.
Yeah,
I would have loved what they would have done with the second season, but we'll never know.
yeah, yeah. Really, really, really good.
Which is
So,
really
oh my gosh. I have nothing to add about the time tunnel. They did a good job with this episode.
they did a very good job with this episode. And I think the next episode we'll see next Sunday. They also did a pretty decent job with
Yeah, that does look like it's going to be good.
yeah, the one from the Cortez era and the gold and the man who would be Prince
Yeah.
and about how they latch on to Tony and Doug and how the two of them help him.
Everybody latches on to Tony and Doug.
Oh, this is
I
true.
keep waiting for them to get on each other's nerves like people do when they're on vacation. Just start beating the fuck out of each other. Nothing yet.
Something they could have did too for season 2. They could have did Jack the Ripper.
I would love Jack the Ripper. That would be so cool. What was that movie they made? Oh God, what was it? Time.
The 1890s.
No, it was Time After Time
Oh, okay.
with
I
Jack
know
the
what you're
Ripper.
talking about.
That was such a good movie.
Malcolm McDowell and
Malcolm McDowell, yeah. I
Mary
think The
Steenburgen.
Lodger, though, the old Lodger, that's one of my favorite movies. I love The Lodger. I love all that old
I
stuff.
think I saw it one. I'd like to see it again.
It's all on
That's
TNT Classics.
although the Time Machine, of course, is
I
classic for
love The
me.
Time Machine.
Is one of my favorites.
Were they
But
Good movie.
Morlocks? Are the bad guys Morlocks? Is that what they were called?
the more that's right, the Elon
Morlocks.
Morlocks.
They scared the
Morlocks
shit out of me when I was a little girl. I
Good
thought they were
movie.
real. I thought
and
Morlocks were real.
Alan Young. Destroy it, George, before it destroys you.
Right?
I used to love, and that was Mr. Ed. I couldn't get it. He was actually a pretty talented. He was a pretty
But the horse
talented
or the
guy.
actor?
He was a pretty talented guy. You know, they made the sequel to um, the Time Machine 25 years later. They
They
had a
did?
big net where they brought the two of them back. And you should look that
I
up
didn't
on
know that.
YouTube sometime if you've never seen it. They have apparently George, what is it? Is it David? Is it David? Yeah, George comes back during World War One uh, when Alan Young is just about to get ready to go to fight for Britain and get killed, and they have a nice little dialogue, and it was very interesting to see them both together again, and even Whit Purcell, who was still alive, um, gave a little soliloquy on what happened in the intervening years because Whit Purcell was in the time machine. And and Jewel is. I almost thought I saw the real house there, Jewel.
I saw a
That
pumpkin. That's all I saw. There's a pumpkin on the wall.
kind of thing. Anything else to say about this?
I'm
No,
About
good.
this episode?
No, I really liked it a lot. I like history though. So.
I think it was very apropos for the people of the 60s at the time.
Oh
Religion was
yeah.
still pretty much in force, and especially among Judaism. It was nice to see an episode, positive episode, epitomizing the Jewish credo and you see and I did like the costume that because I think, Julie, you mentioned about the costumes. I like the costume that Rhodes Reason wore as Joshua because it had the Jewish stars on both the Mogen
Yeah,
David
yeah, it
on
was a
both
nice touch.
sides, on both sides. So, but it didn't have Moses in the episode. He just
No,
referred to him. But that's okay. You didn't need it. So I think that's anything else, Jewel?
No, no. Unless you want to know who John Carpenter really wanted for Laurie Strode, or who he originally had in mind.
That's
well,
for
you might as
sure.
well tell me now.
And
That's
Margaret.
He did not.
He
For
wanted Anne
Laurie
Margaret.
Strode,
He asked Anne Margaret first.
she didn't look like a teenager.
That's who he wanted. Anne Margaret from Battlestar Galactica.
he wanted that. Really? I never knew
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Wild. I didn't know that either. And I thought I read just about everything on it.
That was in
Now I'm
an
going to
interview.
start digging when I get off here and go read about it.
That was in an interview with
I didn't
Justin
know that.
Bean. I was listening
I
to
never
that.
knew that.
So
John Carpenter wanted Ed Margaret for
for Laurie
Battlestar.
Strode, yeah,
For
and she
what?
turned it. She took for Laurie Strode, and she turned him down because she wanted to remain on Battlestar Galactica for a while longer. So
I used to
And
love
Margaret
that
was on
show.
Battlestar Galactica?
yeah,
Yeah.
Margaret. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Everybody ran through Battlestar Galactica at least one time or another in the, 70s and 80s.
I got to start watching that
Oh
again.
my
She was one of my
gosh.
favorite.
The
So
She was my
Borgs.
first
so
crush.
there's your little movie fact for
My little
tonight.
trivia for thing. Now I'm going to have
Yes.
to go look it up because it's bugging me.
Yes.
Yeah, she was my first crush, and she's still going strong in her 80s.
Still a beautiful woman.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's for sure. So next Sunday at 8 o'clock,
Ain't that
7
time?
your time.
Next
Ain't that
Sunday at
time?
8 o'clock. I'll
7
see you
your
guys.
time,
Okay,
Vickie.
boys. Y'all be good this week.
Enjoy the rest of your
Stay
weekend.
warm.
Oh,
Bye.
we'll try.
Hi,
We'll
guys.
try. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Feel
Bye.
better, Rick. Take care, Jewel.
Take care.